Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Motivational speaker, the comeback coach, and goal crusher Joe Rivera brings you inspiring leaders, incredible stories, and valuable lessons on how you can change, grow, and reforge your life. Now, here's your host, Joe Rivera.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Reforge Your Life Show. I'm your host, Joe Rivera. And here at the Reforge Your Life Show, we like to show you that the comeback is more than possible. Today, y'all are going to love the guest I'm bringing to the show. His energy is going to drive y'all. His story is incredible. He's a speaker. He's a coach. Nate Evans, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, man, Joe, thanks for having me, bro. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm grateful we're able to share the platform together, brother. Man, I've heard your story. And there's no way that I'm qualified to tell it the way you can. So I'd love for you to share your story with the audience, bro.
Yeah, man. So many different directions I can go, but just a quick synopsis of who Nate is. A father, a husband, man of God, a leader. I lead a global men's ministry as well as a chapter of our Speakers Academy with Next Level. I've been speaking professionally since about 2018. So it's been a little while. But prior to that, man, was just a kid pursuing, basketball dreams, trying to play pro, trying to do his thing. And it didn't work out that way. I grew up in New Jersey, South Jersey to be exact. I've been living down here essentially my entire life. Grew up in both Pleasantville and Atlantic City. And like most kids in the communities that I grew up in, we were exposed to a lot. So, gangs, drugs, violence, all of those different things. And for me as a young male, young black male, I didn't have a lot of places where I could express how I felt, and nobody taught me how to do so. So like most of us do, we bottle up those emotions. We keep these things in, but as you and I know, at some point they have to come out. But for me, I got really, really good at being silent and bottling up my emotions, and I played ball, did very well. Ended up getting a full athletic scholarship to play ball, which was huge because I'm a first generation high school graduate. You know what I mean? First generation. From my parents were teenagers when they had me, dropped out, started working. So I was the first one to cross that milestone. But again, I had so much built up trauma over the years that going into college that first year and losing my grandfather, it sent me like spiraling mentally and emotionally. And it really, really messed me up. And I kind of went on this journey of dealing with some severe mental health issues, some suicidal ideations, and trying to do my best to figure out what was going on. And it wasn't until basketball stopped. I ended up getting injured, couldn't play for a few months. And that was the first time where I really sat with my thoughts and started to analyze my life. Like, yo, what is this? Why are you feeling this way? Why are you thinking this way? And I started to make slow, just small incremental decisions to change in those moments. And there's a lot more that I can unpack, but for the most part, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, man. There's definitely a lot to unpack there. So, I'm curious though. And so you were going through the suicidal thoughts while playing ball, or was this like after ball was done, you had them?
It was kind of during the same time, man. I was dealing with some things mentally and emotionally. Then I lost a close friend. And at this time, what I didn't share was when I went off to college, I didn't just go to college and play ball. I dropped out after the first 3 months on full scholarship. And then I got another scholarship to play basketball on the West Coast and New Mexico. And I was there for a year, but then I dropped out of there. Then I came back home and then to school for another year. So I was bouncing around from school to school to school, trying to figure out, what was going on with me mentally and emotionally. And I thought that if I ran from place to place, I would be good. Like, okay, if I just go to a different environment. But I didn't understand at the time, everywhere you go, there you are. I didn't understand that. So then the ideation started to come. It's just like, yo, I feel like a failure. Like, I feel like I'm flopping. I feel like, why is this happening to me? And I started to think of these different things of like, man, maybe people would be better if I wasn't here because this didn't pan out anywhere, in any type of way that I thought it would. So it was actually in the midst of me playing ball, but it got heightened when I got hurt. And I couldn't run to ball anymore because it was like a safe haven for me. You know what I mean?
So when you lost, because you mentioned losing the grandfather physically and a close
Mhm.
friend of yours.
Yep.
So when you were going through that, were you using basketball to run away from feeling that pain? What was going through your mind? Because dealing with loss like that, especially at a young age,
Mhm.
right? So was basketball something that you used to kind of heal that pain, and then once the injury came, it really came all at once?
Yeah, basketball, like I said, it was a safe space for me. So some people they turn to the bottle, some people they turn to drugs, smoking. I think because I seen the side effects of what that did to my family members and people that I know in my community, I never turned to those things. So basketball just seemed safer. You know what I mean? So I just turned to basketball, but it was the way that I would release stress and release pain and release anxiety and things like that. So when it got taken away because of injury, like my first major injury, I was like, "Oh, snap. Like I don't know what to do. Like I don't know what to turn to anymore." You know what I mean? This is before I got deep in my relationship with God. It was like, "Yo, what do I oh my gosh, like I'm struggling now because it was such a scapegoat for me and my emotions for so many years. Cause it was easy. It's like growing up in the hood, it was a basketball court on every neighborhood. So it's like if anything happened, I can just take my ball and I can just go shoot. You know what I mean? I can go dribble, I can go do my thing. It didn't require much. So I kind of built up this coping mechanism, but I had to realize like, yo, what happens if you can no longer dribble the ball? What happens if you get hurt? Now what do you turn to? How do you cope?
Or what were you using to cope before that?
So to be honest, man, it was always basketball. I had a ball in my hands since I was like 2 years old. It was always basketball. Now I will say this. I also am a big writer. So writing was a big thing as well, like creative writing. And, I even did a little bit of spoken word writing. So it's like that actually helped me a lot, being able to express my thoughts on paper. So even as an adult, I still do that, but we call it journaling now. But it's like, yo, I got into writing too. So that was a creative outlet for me. So those were the main two things when it came to trying to release these emotions. It was writing and basketball, which was healthy outlets, man. They were healthy. But at the end of the day, you still had to address what's going on.
Right. So you were just pretty much bottling those feelings up that
Hmm.
you weren't sharing it with anybody. And once basketball, when that injury happened,
Hmm.
what did that look like?
Yeah, it was tough, man. I never forget. I was playing ball. I went up for a move. I got my legs taken out from under me, and I fell, and I twist my ankle a little bit. And in my brain, I'm like, okay, I done rolled my ankles a bunch of times hooping. Like, this is no problem. I'm going to ice it, take care of it. But what happened was I lost all of the sensation and feeling in the bottom of my foot. And that's when I knew, like, oh, I got to go to the doctor. So when I went, I'm like, okay, what they going to tell me? And then when he said, yo, you got to wear a boot and you can't hoop for several weeks, it was like, yo, this was the only thing keeping me afloat right now, like keeping me sane. So it was tough, man. Those first few days, man, I'll never forget just laying in the bed and like, yo, what do I do? And I felt like the thoughts were just like ruminating everywhere and they were just flooding my mind. And I had to sit there and it was I'll be honest, that was a really dark season for me. But I'm blessed to have had some really close friends during that time who can tell that something was going on and they were able to get me out of that funk by helping me to not stay in the house. So it's like, yo, just come ride with me. Yo, we gonna go to the gym. You don't need to use your legs. Yo, we just gonna lift some weights. You know what I mean? Just be around other people. It helps so much. But initially it was dark because I feel like the only thing that was keeping me with some sense of hope and clarity was taken away.
Yeah. I wanna stay in the dark for a minute because we're gonna get to the light.
Mhm.
Stay in that dark for a minute. And what was the story you were telling yourself in those moments? Because I'm a big believer in the story that we tell ourselves. It really creates the life that we're living in that moment. So what did that look like in those dark times?
Yeah, man. The story that was on repeat was you're not worthy of more or better. And that it's always going to be like this. It's always going to be like this. Like no matter what you do, because I was a hard worker. I did great in school. I was a phenomenal athlete. Like I put the work in. That was never the issue. But it always felt like I was on a hamster wheel. So it was like, yo, you're not worthy. Like every time something good happens, something bad is about to follow right up after. So I just kept thinking that over and over, like, yo, you're not worthy. You're not worthy. That's why you feel like you always got to prove yourself. You're not worthy. And it's like, man, how do I break this cycle of this repetitive, dark thought? Because that's when I got to the point where I'm like, oh, if I'm not worthy, what am I doing here then? You know what I mean? If I don't have any value, what am I doing here? If I got to constantly perform to get love, what am I doing here? And that's when those thoughts, those really, really dark thoughts started to creep in, like I said, about suicide of like, okay, and I got really close to the point of losing hope. Because again, it was just a narrative day in and day out from the time you get up to the time you lay down. Yo, you're not worth nothing. Like, look at you. You put all that work in, but look at you. You did all of this, but nobody called you for an overseas tryout. You did all of this, but you forfeited your athletic scholarships. Look at you. You ain't no better than the people that you grew up around. It was just like, man, it was hitting me so hard in so many different ways.
And I want to kind of touch on something else. I know that you're a man of God now, and
Mhm.
yeah, but you said before you had built that relation. So what did that look like as far as having God or God's always in your life, right? It's a matter of you bringing God into your life. So what did
Mhm.
that look like in those moments? Where was that before you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question, man. It's funny because I was raised in the church. Like, I don't remember a time not being in the church by my grandmother and my mom. So it's like I was always in it. I was always around it. I served here and there. But I tell people all the time, I was like, man, I felt like I was borrowing somebody else's faith, but I didn't have my own relationship. Like I was kind of like just borrowing somebody else's relationship. And it got to a point where I couldn't do that anymore as a young adult. It's like I actually had to find my own relationship. So it wasn't that I didn't know God or anything, but it's like that relationship was kind of iffy, especially after so much happened of losing my grandfather, losing a friend, dealing with these. I'm like, yo, God, you don't see me? Like I ain't never done wrong to nobody. At least, nothing that I thought was wrong. I've done some wrong, but it's like, yo, I thought that I was doing the right things. I thought I was a good person, quote unquote. And that didn't that changed literally. I had just had that injury where I couldn't hoop anymore for a few months. I was going back to school to get a bachelor's degree. And I remember driving home and I was like, yo, I gotta make some different decisions. Like I gotta figure this thing out. And I was like, you know what? I need something drastic. I'm gonna see what happens if I stop being lukewarm with God and just go all in. Like stop seeing like, cause I've tried it my way and this joint ain't working, bro. Like it ain't working at all. Like it's getting worse and worse. So for me, it was like, let me see what happens if I go all in. And that led to me committing to getting baptized. But that also led to me looking for a therapist for the first time ever. Cause I was like, yo, I need a drastic change. It's either I stay in this dark spot, which I'm comfortable with, kind of, because I'm familiar with it. Or let me at least just try something different and see what happens if I give my life to the Lord, but also start to do the work to work on my mental health because I'm obviously dealing with a lot of stuff. And it wasn't an easy decision, but it was the best decisions that I had ever made in my life because it helped me to transform and just my perspective. It helped me to get the weight off of my shoulders and just give it to God. Like, yo, you know what? I'm carrying a burden that really ain't mine to carry. And you said that, yo, you can take all of this stuff that I done been through and I experienced and use it for my good and your glory. I need to experience that because right now I'm falling apart and I don't know if I can do another day of this type of lifestyle. So that's what it led to, man. But I got to thank my mom and my grandma because they did build me a foundation. And while it wasn't perfect, they were the ones who exposed me, you know what I mean, to that relationship with God, even though it took me years to build my own relationship. It's like that first exposure was everything though.
Yeah, there's no perfect time to do it. It just happens when it happens, and it so
Yep.
happens like that. It happens when you need him the most. You know,
Hmm.
he's with us our whole life, like the footprint prayer, right? He's with us through all those struggles, and like, the whole time he's been there. Every
All
struggle,
the time.
you know what I mean? And it's just a matter of you putting your hand out and saying, you know what, I'm ready.
Hmm.
And so before you did find, the relationship and start building it and building it your way, right? Because I was born and raised Catholic too, man. So and I was born in the church family also. I was born and raised Catholic. but completely lost my way. Didn't even know what a relationship with God was. Thought it was saying Our Father, Hail Mary, and asking for forgiveness when necessary. But through my journey, I realized the difference between religion and spirituality and how important it is to build that relationship with God, which raised my father, my mother, my uncle, my best friend, my everything. And I remember life before that relationship was built and what the challenges that I went through, overdosing twice, 6 cans of Narcan. So I'm curious though, when you were going through that dark time, did you actually make the attempt to commit suicide or it was just suicide thoughts?
No, it was the thought. So when it comes to the ideation, it was planning out what it would look like. Like, okay, this, and this. But thank God I never got to the actual acting of it because I'm a firm believer as someone who's like a high achiever, high executor, I would have been successful, if that makes sense. So I got to thank God for his grace and his sovereignty because it's like it never grew past the ideation. Because I hear people tell stories all the time. I know them personally. I took a bunch of pills or I cut myself or I pulled the trigger and it didn't. And I'm thinking like, man, I know this stuff would have worked on me. Like I know for sure I'd have took the pills, been out of here. I'd have pulled the trigger, boom, brains blown out. Like I know that. So I'm grateful to God that it stopped at the ideation part of like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
So, so, and yeah, I'm grateful you didn't also, brother.
Yes, sir.
You being in, turning that around. So I believe that when we all go through darkness, that there's light, right? That we could go towards and go towards that light tunnel. That's where the light is. But I believe that there's a turning point that brings us. So, what was your turning point where you said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I can't live my. I'm gonna go and make changes. Bye.
Yeah, the turning point was I mentioned earlier about going back to get my bachelor's and finishing up at Rowan University. I think for me, the turning point was I was in a relationship with my wife. She wasn't my wife at the time. I want to say we were still just dating at the time, but she was so invested in who I was and who I was becoming. And here's the thing, I didn't have anything to give her. You know what I mean? I have no money. I couldn't afford things, it was just love there. But she had spoke to the potential that she saw in me. Cause I'm like, yo, you can do better than me. That was my thought. Like that's how low my self-worth was. I'm like, yo, I know you can do better than me. This is how I'm thinking internally. And then I asked her one day, like why me kind of thing. And she started to express what she can see in me. Not what I'm doing now, but what she can see in me. And it made me realize that there was so much more of me to give and to grow into. And I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision, man, on what would that look like? This is a person who loves me for me, who's counting on me to pull through this. And for me, that was more than enough because if it was just a focus on me, I would have quit. But I believe that when we have other people in our lives that we love deeply, because like I said, she's invested so much in me. I can go story after story after story of how this woman has been there for me in the darkest of times. You know what I mean? So for her to see me in this way, in such a vulnerable state when I'm down bad, when we're evicted, when I'm going through these situations, when I'm having breakdowns, and for her to not leave, it was just like, all right, Nate, you're not fighting for just you. You're fighting for somebody who also believes in you. Like this is a teammate. This is a partner. Like you got to push through. And that's when I knew I needed to make some decisions. Also, I started to think more about my family as well, because like I said, I'm the first one to graduate high school in my immediate family, but I'm also the first one to start going to actual therapy. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, if I'm going to be a first gen here, I might as well just be a first gen everywhere. And let me just see what happens because I got two younger brothers and I started to think about children. I'm like, I'm going to have children one day, Lord willing, that come behind me. And it's like, yo, what am I doing to set us up for success? And that's when I started to think bigger than myself. It stopped being about basketball. It stopped being about what I wanted. It was like, yo, everything is it's bigger than you, these steps you're taking. And that led me to, like I said, seeking a therapist, growing my relationship with God and just like walking this thing out and getting the help that I needed. But it was all based on those moments of like, yo, what do you see in me that I'm not seeing in myself? I think it's important that you have them people in your life that can see some things in you when you can't see it in yourself. Because naturally, we can be hard on ourselves, bro. Especially men. We can be super hard on ourselves. So every once in a while, you need somebody to be like, yo, take it easy. Like you're not your worth is so much bigger than what you do and what you can provide. Like I need you to know you're valuable. And her expressing that, I started to see the worth within myself. And that led to the change.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I think it's important for the audience to up on this that don't be afraid to ask for help, man. Everybody thinks like vulnerability and asking for help is shows weakness. There's a lot of people out there that think that, but it's the complete opposite, man. Vulnerability and being able to raise your hand and say, I can't do this alone. I need help.
Hmm.
That's a superpower, man. So man, I'm glad that you were able to realize that and say, "Hey, man, you know what? I can't do this, you know. I gotta go and get help."
Yeah.
Therapies. I do therapy also, man, and I believe like everybody could use therapy, man. It's such a blessing to be able to have someone there that's gonna be able to help you, you know, go through your struggles that you've gone through so that you don't have to go through alone. And having someone there who doesn't have a biased opinion.
Facts. That part. Mhm.
Look, man, I'm a big believer that when we go through a point in our life where we crack through a belief system, right? Because that's what you did. You cracked through a belief system. And listen, those beliefs, they always pop up, right? But it's learning how to control the belief system. And that's how you build a new belief system. But I really believe that once we are able to crack through that belief system, that we uncover core values along that journey. And those core values get us through the most difficult times in our life. Because guess what? Life's going to still throw curveballs, still going to get knocked to your knees, and those challenges are going to show up. But utilizing these core values to overcome those challenges is vital for success. So,
Mm.
what are some of those core values that you were able to uncover along the journey? I mean, obviously, we spoke about spirituality and God. So, what are some of the other core values that you lean into?
Yeah, definitely first and foremost with, trusting in God. But one of the biggest ones for me has been always give your best effort. Always give your best effort. That's been a big one because, and I heard Deion Sanders say it this way and it sounded like perfect. And I was like, dang, I should have took that. But he said in regards to his sons, right? We know his sons, they play football there in the NFL. This was back when they were, I think, at like Jackson State or something. It was like, yo, what's the standard for your sons? Like, I see you coach them a certain way. You don't treat them too different than the other players. And he said, I've always been of the mindset of give your best effort. I'm not telling you to be the best. I think a lot of times we like, I'm trying to be the best this. And it's like, yo, can you just give your best? So for me, that helped me. It's like, yo, just give your best effort. You ain't got to compare yourself to nobody else. So that was a huge core value for myself. And then another one, it's a little bit of this one's a little different when it comes to a core value, but it is to have grace for yourself. And for me, when I say that, I don't mean be lazy, right? I don't mean let yourself off the hook, but I mean, yo, you are figuring things out one day at a time. You've never been a parent before. You've never been this age before. You've never started a podcast before. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, lock in, be focused, but have grace for yourself because you're going to make some mistakes, bro. It's just natural. No matter what it is you're doing, business, relationships, learn to have grace for yourself because it's very easy to extend it. But for us, it can be difficult to give it to ourselves. So those are like the main things right there. It's like, yo, always give your best effort, whatever that looks like. And that can be tough too if you're somebody who's very gifted and talented because people don't know if it's your best effort because you're killing it. And you like, oh, okay, I can just cruise by on a smooth 75, 80%. But it's like deep down, you and God knows, yo, you still got 20% to go and you playing around. So it's always give your best effort. That's why I'm emphasizing your best effort, not Nate's best effort, not somebody else's best effort. What is the best effort for you? My son, he's 2, he'll be 3 in January. Once he starts school, you want your kids to have good grades. But I'm like, yo, what's your best effort? I don't need you to be the best in the class. If you do, that's fire. But once I see you give this effort and you maximize, I got to hold a standard now because I've just seen your best effort. So it's the same we got to hold ourselves to. So best effort and grace, man. Those are the two. On top of, trusting God, of course.
Man, best effort and grace. And grace is so important because, man, we're our biggest critics. I know I am
Nah, me too.
biggest critic, you know what I mean? And learning to be able to give myself grace has been so important on my journey, man, because man, I could get on myself so much, and if I could get on myself that much, then I need to be able to give myself grace so that I can say, "You know what? Alright, it's cool. I still got this. I'll
Hmm.
learn from this downturn, I'll learn." That's what, these losses aren't really losses. That L stands for learning, right? You gotta learn from those losses. And that's how
Hmm.
you grow, man. You gotta enjoy those moments. And grace also helps you enjoy the journey, right? Because we get caught so much on the destination and what that end result's gonna look like. We get lost in not really enjoying that journey. And man, that's sad. You got to enjoy the journey. That's where the gifts are.
That's what the gifts are. That's so good.
Yeah, man. So I'm glad you brought that up because that's big, man. So Nate, man, I'd love for you to share with the audience where they can find you, what you have going on now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You can find me on socials at Nate Evans Jr. And the reason I say socials is because it's literally the same on every platform. I don't know how I got it. I don't know if there's not another Nate Evans Jr. in the world. But I'm Nate Evans Jr. and that's, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook. You'll find me all on there. That's also my website as well. And I think that's the YouTube channel as well. Now that I think about it, it's Nate Evans Jr. So it's a simple find, man, simple spell, but that's where I'm at. And would definitely love to tap in with, some of the audience and be of value where I can.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's all gonna be the show notes, yeah. And I can't believe there wasn't another Nate Evans Jr. out there, bro.
Bro, it's crazy. It's crazy because I went to school with a kid named Nate Evans when I was in like elementary, but I guess he wasn't a junior. So I'm like, okay, it's just me out here.
Oh man. Hey, Joe Rivera, I had a hard time with that one, but all
Oh man, I got like four of y'all on my phone right now.
uh Nate, and so there's a couple questions that I ask all my guests, man. So when you hear the word purpose, what comes to
Mm.
mind?
Fulfillment. That's what I think. When I think purpose, I think fulfillment. I think the reason you were designed and created is your purpose. And in that purpose, when you pursue it and when you achieve it, I believe there's fulfillment.
Moment, right? And when you hear the word reforge,
Mm.
what comes to mind?
When I hear reforge, man, I think resilience. I think resilience. I think bounce back. I think rebirth. I think transformation. When I hear reforge, man, it's such a powerful word term because it's like, yo, you can literally reforge your life at any point in your life. Like I think people need to really understand it. Like it's not too late. It literally takes a shift of a mindset. It's going to take some work, but it's like, yo, it's not too late for you to reforge. You can literally make that pivot at any moment once you have the realization, like, yo, I don't got, this ain't got to be the same. It ain't got to be the same Monday. This ain't got to be the same month. Like, yo, I can change. Let me reforge my life. So yeah, I think resilience, I think bounce back. But I also think pivot. Let me change this direction.
That's that's good, man. All of those terms, man, because and I love what you said about that you could always reforge
Mhm.
because we have something so powerful within us that we don't even realize, man. I mean, our creator created us to do unbelievable things in our life. And we're spiritual beings living this human experience. And you can do anything you put your mind to, man. So you don't have to stay stuck in any situation you're in. If you're staying stuck, it's because you're choosing to stay stuck.
Facts.
So Nate, there's somebody out there right now who's looking to reforge their life and they don't have the tools, they don't have the know-hows. What's one piece of advice you could give that person?
Absolutely. They don't have the tools or the know-how. This is where I would start if I were you. First thing, I would just pray. Hey, God, look, I'm looking to reforge. I don't have a clue on what to do. This is what I've been doing my entire life. I've been doing it my way, not your way. I'm trying to figure it out. Can you just show me the next step? That's the first thing. It's like, show me the next step. I don't need the whole vision. I don't need the whole plan, but just give me the next step. And I believe from there, it is, one day at a time. Don't try to chew off more than you can handle. You've done so much to get your life to this point. It's going to take one day at a time to change this, because that's all you got. And I believe this, if you focus on one day at a time, there will be less to stress about, because you're not so focused on the future or dwelling on the past. You're literally, I'm right here today. This is what God's given me today. I'm going to take what I got. I'm going to paint on this canvas right now. Lord willing, I wake up tomorrow. Okay, I'm taking another step. And you'll look up, man. We always say time is going by so fast. Oh my gosh, the year's gone. But it's a matter of one day after the next day after the next day. We ain't just jump from January to November. It feels like it, but it's been one day at a time. So it's literally reforging your life, making different decisions one day at a time. And you'll look up, you'll be like, man, I didn't even realize this drastic change in my life. I had my head down working this whole time, and I didn't even realize how far I've grown or how far I've gone. You know what I mean? I didn't even realize the distance because I was so focused on just one day at a time. So yeah, man, talk to God, get clarity on the next best step, and then just make a move. Make a move, but think about it as, I'm just going to do one day at a time, and watch how drastic the changes in your life.
Good. That's good. That one day at a time is so important, man, because it also helps alleviate worry,
Yes.
tomorrow, the next day, the next month. You're focusing on today and only today. It shifts perspective. Nate, what's one thing the audience doesn't know about you that you enjoy doing for fun?
Oh man, that's a great one. Oh man. All right. Put me on the spot. Okay. So it's a few different things, but I'll give you the most recent one. I told you about writing before, but I love to sketch and to draw. But something that I really love to do that I'm getting back into, and I'm about to purchase one later, is do puzzles. I know it's random, y'all. I get it, but it's something about my brain that loves to build and do something. And that might be where my son's getting it from. But I love to do puzzles, whether that's online, whether that's a physical puzzle. My grandmom used to get the circulars and the paper, and we would do the little stuff on the back of them. I love those little meticulous activities, man. They just bring a certain calm to me, man. So I love those things. And I'm also the undefeated Uno champion for the last 20 years. So
That's what's up. That's what's up. Man, Nate, I knew you were gonna bring the energy, the knowledge, and man, you did that and more, brother. I really appreciate you coming through, man, and dropping the knowledge, brother.
yes, sir, man. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Next time we do it, man, I gotta come sit on the couch though. I gotta pull up in person.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it for sure, brother. Without a doubt, man. I know you out there, so I really appreciate that if you come through though, man. Next time you're in the area or something, let me know. We'll make it happen, brother. For sure.
Yes, sir. That sounds like a plan.
Word up, man. All right, man. And listen, man, for all y'all out there listening, watching, thank y'all for coming through. And don't forget, man, I'm gonna ask the same favor I always ask. LFSS. Like, follow, subscribe, and share. Because there's somebody out there right now who's looking to reforge their life, and they don't have the tools, they don't have the know-hows. And you sharing this episode or past episodes to help them reforge their life. And whatever domain of life it is, their health, their finances, their relationship, their business. So share the episode, y'all. Stay productive, stay purposeful, and stay blessed.
You've been listening to Reforge Your Life with your host, Joe Rivera. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more about Joe Rivera and how he can help you or your organization reforge your life and regain your place at the top, head on over to withjoerivera.com and follow Joe on all social platforms. The Reforge Your Life podcast was produced by Thrive Loud Productions. Thanks for listening.